Most writers are getting their female characters all wrong. And you might be thinking, well, I'm a woman, so this doesn't apply to me. I know how to write female characters, but I guarantee you'll be surprised because we see hundreds of manuscripts every month where female characters feel cliche, underdeveloped, or they're just reduced to these side roles. And friends and family might have said that these characters are fantastic, but when we analyze them from a professional lens, we notice the same mistakes coming up over and over again. And these are female characters, even written by women. Today, I'm going to walk you through the biggest mistakes that writers make, male and female, when they write female characters. But I won't just leave you with the mistakes, I'll also help you learn how to fix them so that your female characters resonate on a much deeper level. So whether you're writing contemporary drama, fantasy, thrillers, or romances, I'll make sure that we help you break the cliches and write much better, more complex female characters that jump off the page and that excite your readers. So first, let's start with what I mean by mistakes when I'm talking about female characters. The most common pitfalls that we see will make female characters very boring or will make them very predictable. First up is relying on stereotypes. A lot of writers default to damsel in distress, or the hyper-attractive bombshell, or the manic dream girl, right? These tropes are stale, and they do a disservice to female characters and female complexity. The other is the strong female character. Many writers will try and write these strong female characters that are tough as nails, but then they end up lacking any vulnerability, they don't have any depth. And so while the strength is great, when you are creating these strong female characters, it's important not to neglect the essence and the emotion, just as if you're writing a male character. The same advice, because you don't want them to end up feeling robotic or inauthentic. The other mistake that happens too often is we see female characters defined by the male relationships they have. This plays out where they exist purely as a love interest, supportive wife, or a mother figure. And it's important that they have their own goals, passions, and character arc. The other mistake is over-sexualizing or too much objectification around their body or their appearance or how attractive they are. And if you do this too much, you risk even turning a complex character into just an object for either the reader or for the other characters. The other mistake is ignoring their flaws or making them too perfect. If she's good at everything and she never makes mistakes and everyone loves her, then you might have a Mary Sue on your hands, which is just a completely unrealistic and unrelatable character. If your female character lacks agency and never makes decisions that affect the plot, then again, she's simply reacting to others instead of actually driving the story forward. Mistake number 7 is we see too many female characters pitted against other women, creates this infighting or catty behavior that doesn't have a deeper reason. And honestly, it just feels really lazy. It's a very lazy way to inject drama. And it also perpetuates a very harmful stereotype about women not supporting one another. Number 8 is unrepresented diversity. If all your female characters are straight and share similar cultural backgrounds, then again, you're really, of course, missing out on the breadth of real world women and what they're actually like. The other mistake we see very often, female characters being reduced to caretaker roles. Of course, we all see women as motherly, as nurturers, but if that's all they do in the story, then it becomes restrictive and cliche. They're not a true female character. Mothers in real life have many other things going on, so it's important to create more diverse characters, more interesting characters. We also often see writers downplay their female characters' internal struggle. Often they'll just show their external actions and not their inner turmoil, their ambitions, their fears, or the emotional connections that they have with other characters. Sometimes, and one of the worst mistakes, is we see female characters exist just to check a box. This, of course, means there's no individuality. Readers see right through it, so do not fall into this trap. Another mistake is not allowing emotional range. Some writers worry that giving female characters negative emotions like anger, jealousy, and rage will make them unlikable. To create a character with true depth, you have to give them an emotional spectrum. We all experience this emotional spectrum. So make sure your female characters do as well. Another mistake, which I can see why this causes issues because it's a difficult one to navigate, is writing female characters who live in a world with no mention of how gender dynamics might affect her. Because simply this is unrealistic. They will always have an impact. So it's important that you mention them. Next is that people forget a character arc. If she starts and ends exactly the same on her progression and it only revolves around a romantic resolution, well then again, you will lose reader engagement with that character. Sometimes female characters get sidelined entirely in action. If the female character never does anything significant in crucial scenes, they're either waiting, worrying, or watching from the sidelines. I'm sure you have all seen this mistake. Then she'll end up feeling irrelevant to the plot. She has to get involved. Now, perhaps you recognize some of these issues in your writing, and you're probably thinking, okay, thanks for pointing this out, Patrick, but how do I actually go and fix these? That's the next part of this video. Here are the steps to make your female characters more engaging. First up, you want to avoid entirely or subvert stereotypes that take a trope, like the damsel in distress, and flip it. Maybe she's the one who outsmarts the villain. Maybe she is the villain. Or if she's physically strong, give her some personal doubts or maybe some quirky hobbies that really break the mold. And build true strength for your female characters through complexity. You often see this mistake where female characters are strong because you see them in a fight. What you want to see is your character demonstrating emotional resilience, intelligence, humor, courage, all of these things in the face of adversity, and sometimes let her fail and let her learn from it, because that will make the character so much more engaging. You need to give her independent goals. What does she actually want beyond romance, family, develop her passions, her ambition, or unique moral code? Make sure that she is so much more than just someone's partner or someone's parent. And next, to avoid these mistakes, is focus on inner qualities over appearance. Shift your descriptions of your female characters away from something like she had the perfect curves to she was confident in the boardroom and terrified of letting people down. This helps you reveal who she is, not just what she looks like. And just like you would with a male character, embrace her flaws. Maybe she's stubborn, maybe she's too trusting, or maybe she's quick-tempered. Let her mess up, make mistakes, apologize, let her grow, let her fail. All of these flaws are going to make her so much more relatable. You need to also give your female characters agency. Allow her to initiate actions that affect the story, have decisions with consequences. She shouldn't ever just be reacting to the male's lead choices. I would also urge you to portray supportive female friendships. Show women cooperating, sharing wisdom, or having complex relationships that aren't just hostile or jealous. Conflict is fine, but give it depth. Too often we see these very shallow conflicts when it comes to female characters, and it just plays into a stereotype, which of course is not genuine. Make your female characters diverse. Have them come from different backgrounds, ethnicities, sexual orientations, abilities, and avoid using them as just set dressing. Really explore their perspectives. Make sure that you expand any caretaker roles. So she might be a mother or caregiver, but show the emotional complexity of that experience. Her love, her fatigue, her frustrations, her aspirations. Don't just reduce the character to a single function. Make sure that you dive into her internal monologues. Reflect on her insecurities, her dreams, her fears. Let the reader really see why she makes certain choices or potentially struggles with certain dilemmas. Please, for number 11, go beyond tokenism. If you have multiple female characters, then give them a distinct identity. Give them each a distinct character arc. One approach is to ask each character, what is your defining trait? What's your biggest fear? Or maybe, what is your secret desire? This will make your characters so much richer. And also explore a full emotional range. Let your characters get angry. Let them be ambitious, ruthless, vengeful, whatever it needs to be to suit your story. But make sure that it is authentic emotion, because that will create compelling female characters, which creates compelling storytelling. Make sure as well that you contextualize gender dynamics. If your story's world or era has specific expectations around women, then let that tension shape her decision. Alternatively, if it's a fantasy world with more equal footing, we'll establish why that is the case. Make sure that you invest the time to write a meaningful arc for your female character. Make sure that she evolves over time. What is their internal journey? Maybe she begins as naive and gains wisdom, or is jaded but then ends up finding hope. Show that growth and give her active moments in pivotal scenes. Let her do something, whether it's leading negotiations or orchestrating a breakout or making a sacrificial choice that she should be a key player. Now that we've gone through the mistakes, we've gone through how to fix the mistakes, how do you actually find these mistakes in your manuscript? How do you tell if you're making these mistakes? So one of the main ones is, of course, rejections or vague feedback from publishers referencing female characters. We didn't connect with her, or she felt a bit flat. It might just be that they don't really mention your female characters, and again, that could be another sign. It could also be that your beta readers, friends, family are disengaged. They might not mention the female characters. This will be a common theme. If people aren't picking up on these characters and saying how much they enjoyed them, then probably the female character is weak. And the ultimate test is if you lose interest when you are doing your editing. If you're going back through and you're forgetting about your female characters, or you are just getting bored by the sections they're in, well, then you need to go back through the list of mistakes, figure out which mistakes you're making, and then use the tips I've given to make those characters more compelling. I hope you've enjoyed this video all about how to make your female characters more compelling. YouTube will now be recommending another one of my value-packed videos right here, and make sure to comment down below which of these mistakes you were making and which of the suggested improvements you're going to use to improve your female characters.